Alright, guys, fireside talk, and welcome to the fireside talk. The topic for this fireside talk is animal encounters. And if you are a YouTube follower, subscribers, you can follow this talk on Patreon. I don't want to be mean against you. It's just that I like to see how this Patreon goes, and I have 2 subscribers so far. Thank you very much. You will get your names on the list. And so this fireside talk, the topic for this one is for you guys. And so, animal encounters. And by that, I would like to. It's in relation to animal encounters in Lapland, in Scandinavia, including Finland, and also animal encounters in Central Africa. That's the topic. And if you have watched one of my videos with the bear encounter, that's one kind of animal encounters. I want to specify, it's not just animal encounter, seeing a fox or a squirrel or something like that, but more dangerous animal encounters. And you probably have watched my bear encounter from Lapland, and maybe you have some opinions about how Riley and I dealt with that bear, and maybe you have some advice for us how we could have done better and so. And I would like to talk about my greatest fear of animal encounters. And my absolutely greatest fear is not animals, it's people. People. But this topic is on animals. From the animal kingdom, the animal I fear the most is the lion. And for me, the lion is just, it's a primal thing, primal fear. And if you have met a lion, never seen a lion before, never heard a lion before, but you just see the lion, there's something in you that is shaken to its roots. And it's not joy, it's fear, absolute fear. And so my greatest fear is meeting a lion. Fortunately, I have never stood in front of a lion that has not been behind a cage. So this story that I will tell now is a story of some friends in a village that has had a horrible encounter with lions. And it goes like this. It was nighttime. And it was a small village. Everybody went to sleep. And in the villages you also have dogs that guards the village. They are all loose, roaming around, but by night time they all cuddle around their owners, their houses. They never bring in the dogs inside their huts. The dogs sleep outside, and for good reason. And that is because the dogs are the first defense against animal attacks. And so this night, even the dogs were quiet. Another information is that the villagers have goats, they have animals, goats and sheep and chicken, and it was very common that the huts were built in connection to a side room where the sheep and the goats are kept. So it's basically wall to wall from where the family lives and from where the goats also live. And so it was nighttime. Dogs were quiet, silent. The family went to sleep. And all of a sudden, there was this cry from the mother, like deep, gut-wrenching cry, scream of fear and hurt of being wounded. And the husband wakes up. They have children. The husband wakes up and he sees this lion inside the hut, and the lion had grabbed the mother by the head and was attempting to pull the mother out of the hut. And the father, he was screaming, he was yelling, he was making noise, he was in there with the lion, the mother. The children were asleep. The children woke up from the commotion, and in the midst of it all, the lion lets go of the mother and runs out. And now the father also runs out, and now screaming, lion, lion, lion. Everybody wakes up. They come out. They have spears, they have machetes. Those who have guns, they bring their guns. And now the goal is to chase away the lion or kill it when they see it. So they go after the lion. They know which direction it is. They go after the lion. And so it's a bunch of men and youth running after the lion to kill it, basically. And so they are off. It's dark. It's nighttime in Africa. If you have been in Africa and you have experienced darkness, you can put your hand out and you will not see your hand. It's that dark. And so there's a group of men and youth, older youth, who are now after the lion, and they have run out into the darkness. The story doesn't say if they have brought flashlights or fire with them. And so they are out there tracking the lion. And meanwhile, they are out there. They hear more cries from the village. And so they turn back. And what happened was that lion had, if it was the same or another lion, that lion had went off, circle around, come back to the same hut, and this time grabbed the child with blankets and everything and run off into the bush. And so now they were again out there chasing this if it's the same lion or or another lion, second lion. They are chasing, yelling, screaming. And they do find the blanket. And they also find the child wrapped in the blankets, bloodied. And this is a very, very unusual story with the lion encounters. To the point where, so they bring back the child. The mother is wounded. The child is wounded, bitten on the back. I have met these people. I have met this family. I have met the father. I have met the mother. I have met the child. I went back to Central Africa when I was 17 in 1996. And I met this he was a teenager when I met him. I remembered him, and I just to confirm, I also politely asked if it was him, and he showed me the scars from the lion. They both survived. The mother survived, and he also survived naturally. But that kind of encounter is so unusual that there was talk of sorcery, that this is not the behavior of lions, this is not the behavior of animals, to go into the hut, attack someone, rush out, and then come back and attack the same family. So there was talk of sorcery, that someone wanted this family to be hurt, or to be killed, or to die. Someone had put a curse on this family, and that someone had gone to the sorcerer, and the sorcerer had called upon the lion to do this. The sorcerer was paid money or wine, or so that's how one way to try to understand what happened. And it's you can decide if you want to believe this way of explaining it or not. But most likely I think it was circumstances, that for instance there was no that the dog the lions got used to the surrounding of the village, hunted the dogs, hunted the goats, and it was very likely that it was the smell of the goats from the village that attracted the lion or lions. And also the doors of these huts, they are not unbreakable. It's just planks leaned up against the door from inside, and then supported by something to not have it come open. So you wouldn't need much strength or much skill to open these doors. Just a push, a shove, and the lion was probably, and because the goats were so close to the family, that it might have been easier to open the family's entrance than it was to open the goats, because it's also so that these goats are very precious. So it's very likely that those doors are more safe, or more difficult to break through, and that the notion of the the the, the lion going in to attack a human instead of the goats that are just next door might just be a circumstantial thing. Maybe the lion couldn't open the door to the goats, but it was, and then it discovered that it was easier to get into the humans. I don't know, but that's what I'm inclined to believe. I have had lion encounters also, but I have never seen the lion. I've heard it, but fortunately never seen it. There's another story. It's more a comical story. We were out traveling, my father and our and a friend, and there was me. We were out traveling in the savannah from a village to somewhere else, and it was high grass, tall grass, and at that time it was with a Suzuki, I think a Suzuki Jimny from the 80s. Suzuki Jimny, amazing cars. Yeah, and at that time we also had, and my father had an aquarium with live fish, and for out when we were out traveling, we stopped by a place where there was a small pond, uh, uh, and so I was left. He wanted to collect water plants to put in the aquarium, and he and our friend, or his friend, I was just a child, they left me in the car in the Suzuki, and the Suzuki has an open back. It's like a Jeep, and so I was left alone in the car, and they plowed through the tall dry grass to go reach the pond, and I was left there for some time, and all of a sudden they come running and they jump into the car. My father tries to start it, and the Suzuki goes choo choo choo, and then we just plow through the narrow, it's like two tracks where the wheels have been, and tall grass in between the tracks, and then tall grass walls on the side, and we just plowed through. And after a while, both of them, my father and his friend, they just started laughing hysterically, but more like this nervous panic laugh, to make to laugh about the situation. And they said that they went to the pond and they started looking, and then they looked across the pond and there was a lion, and so they they made a U-turn and just started running back to the car, and that's how that story went. Yeah, so that was more of a comical. It could have ended terribly. Ah, my sausage is all black, soupy. There are more lion stories, but I think I will keep this short. Maybe I will put it in some other fireside talk. No, one more lion story. So this was at home. Our house was outside a village, so there was no other houses around. Maybe it was 1-2 kilometers before the village, outside the village. And it was evening, nighttime, darkness had already fallen. We had dinner, and now we were having tea. It was a round hut, mud bricks, sun-dried mud bricks with uh, grass roof, and we were outside by the fire having tea, and all of a sudden we were having tea, the cups were going up and down, and all of a sudden there was this, oh, I will try to imitate a lion. The sound comes from deep from the gut of the lion, and is just comes out like thunder. It's like, but imagine a lion instead of me, and it's this trembling thunder, and we all heard it, and from the sound of it we all froze. We just froze in our movements. The cups were going up, the cups were going down, and everybody just froze. And then it came again, and this time it was closer. It was coming down from a hill behind us, and at that point we just left. We just ran inside. I don't even remember what we did with the cups. We just ran inside. Everybody closed the door. It was a round hut, hexagon, six-sided hut, and we all stood dead center in that hut. Window sealed, door closed, some petrol lamps, oil lamps, and we were all in a group, tight group, dead center of that hut, and just listening, dead silence. And it was coming down the hill from behind the house. Each time it roared, it was more thunderous, it was mightier, it was louder. And there come the epicenter, when it was just by where we were standing, sitting, having our tea. And we could hear it walk around, and then it continued, because we could hear that it was continuing, because it kept roaring, and it was roaring. Every time it roared, it seemed further and further, until it was so far away now that we broke the silence inside the hut. But it was this kind of panic, nervous laughter again. Like, you should have seen your face. you yeah. We were all trying to make fun of each other because we were all so frightened, and we all saw each other's faces, and then it was this nervous laughter, panic laughter, to make the situation easier. We didn't go out again that night. Yeah. Oh. Alright, guys. There are more lion stories, but I think this will be too long. So this was my first fireside talk. I hope you enjoyed it, and thank you for watching this video.